What's up, boys and girls? Old Uncle Toot with another video for you. We are on day 3 of the 1-week uploads. All we need to do is hit our like goal. Yesterday, we had a tiny little itty-bitty like goal of 40. Today, we're going to up that. Actually, yesterday was 30. Today, we're going to jump that up because we're hitting Bitcoin. This is what the people want to see, right? So today, I need a 50 like goal to upload for tomorrow, and I'll probably record that upload this evening, but it'll be a once after we get to see the open of the markets, the futures markets tonight, this evening. We'll talk about the approach to trading this week, the weekly outlook. All right, so 50 likes, hit it. And while you're here, why don't you just go ahead and subscribe? All right, so I don't know that I've shared this on video, but my macro look of Bitcoin, and this was basically the original expectation way back here last year, is that we would be in well, actually, I guess it was sort of the original expectation here because of the that this 3-wave move off the high just wasn't. It was deep enough, but it just didn't take enough time, right? In relation to that massive bull run. We were hopeful that we would, little hiccup and keep on getting it, but then we saw the 1-to-1, perfect zigzag here, and we, you've heard me talking about this ever since we got at the high where I showed the members there's 2 options. It's a 1-2, 1-2, or more likely in this scenario it's a zigzag, and it was a zigzag, unfortunately for all of us, because we've been a crypto winner since. So, but this has been a big flat expectation that whole time. We did pivot not too long ago based on the relationship. Let's see if I can just hide stuff. There we go. We pivoted from a flat, which would be a 3, 3, 5, based on the relationship of first of all, well, actually, I believe we potentially thought that this was enough. At the time, we said we wanted this to go lower to feel good about it being done, but this could have been the low, right? It had just been sort of a little bit of a running flat, but we clearly got corrective off of that. We saw that playing out. We highlighted, hey, this is a zigzag before this move ever started down. So we knew it wasn't a flat here. And then based on the size of this move and the next move, we thought, okay, well, I guess this next move has to be a 3. But then when this wave played out to this relationship to this one, it looks bigger in log, but you come down here into arithmetic, and it doesn't at all. It's about equal. It looks more like a zigzag. So at that point, we were thinking that this would potentially, we can go ahead and put our drawing tools back, be a double zigzag or a multiple. This was going to be a zigzag, and that we'd have a sideways 3s correction. But that hasn't necessarily played out either, because meaning that this would have finished in 3. And at the time of this low, let's go ahead and get down to the 1 hour. And at the time of this low, we were thinking, okay, this could be the last impulse wave down to end the correction. And just based on the smaller size of this, to the sideways nature of this, you draw a temporary channel. It's a little bit lower than what you would expect for a 4 here. So we were thinking that when this was starting out, this was going to be a 4 relative to this 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to end the whole correction to the downside, to end the winter. Let's get back at 2 hour. But what ended up happening is we kept getting over it sideways, 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 and then we saw this playing out, and of course we highlighted that, the ending diagonal for you guys. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, little tiny 5. Okay. Anyway, we highlighted that this was happening, and then that means that obviously if that's going to happen, this was a zigzag. So once we saw a corrective move of this magnitude, and this is the part I don't believe I've shown you guys. I'm just keeping you up to date on where I've been updating you. And I don't typically give macro, I don't do videos on Bitcoin because Sam does those, right? So you guys have sort of gotten a piecemeal through Twitter charts and things like that. But the members, you guys have seen all the updates. So once we saw a corrective wave of this magnitude, the expectation went back to, okay, this must be the flat must be back, and this must have been a short 3 relative to the 1, and that we have a 5 to come now. And we dropped out of this and we put 5 waves in out of this diagonal. We'll just call it, plain as day. Just go major pivots, friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that 3 short too. Yeah, but is it shorter than 5? This is a type of impulse we see quite often, right? And we've seen it lately too. So don't get worked up. The 1 does extend from time to time, and in fact, lately it's been extending more than you've seen in 5th wave. In this market, in this environment, you got to know your market. Okay. Which was all well and good. We theorized, we put out there we actually put out there that I think we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, that when we made contact with this median, we were really watching this for long, and it was a good opportunity. But once you saw that it was going to continue sideways, probably, need to expect that you'd probably get one more lower low on more divergence. And I think I even said that once we hit that we'd like kind of to see that. And we got it, right? Big time, in a big way, in a big bounce off of it. That's why I was so hype on this median. It doesn't mean that as soon as you touch it, it's going to go off. But, I think that anybody that was trying to make longs before this median was rushing, and I made that clear. But now since it, we've had super reaction. And, kind of like I said, as we would expect, this median, if we zoom back out, 6 hour, zoom back out, this median is the fork from the entire top correction. 0, and then you see it. Okay, so this is a major pitchfork, and it's shown to be, and it's on log scale where it shows this significance. But look, and I love pitchforks where the median shows importance before you ever even would have drawn the pitchfork. I love this. See how important it was even before you drew this last pivot? See? Okay, anyway, then ever since then, it's been highly important. Highly important. So, interesting here that we've got this bounce. Now we need to sort of do let's update to today and get sort of on a live stream of conscious on what I'm thinking about this. I've been, looking at it, thinking, but not necessarily even verbalizing to myself the expectation here, because this is a clear impulse off this low. So, based on what I just told you, that this is a 4, expecting a 5 down to here somewhere. I don't know what these labels are doing, but 5 down to here somewhere. Oh, that's this thing. And I already have the 1 drawn there, right? So that's been the expectation. But then look how big this is. I don't think it's 50%. Let's get rid of this. I need to get right on my pivots here. Oh, it did get to 50. No, it didn't quite get there. I was watching that for a potential short. Actually, I took a short last night, and it's in the green, but just ever so slightly. Why? Why am I short? Let's talk about it. Okay. So, again, I try to tell you guys, and this is something that maybe in this, maybe in this week of uploads, if we can keep hitting our goals, maybe towards the end, because it's sort of a higher level concept that should definitely be an educational video, and I won't be able to hit it all in a video that will make sense here, but we can talk about how to think about degrees of trend, because I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. You have to think of the market of these structures building like a house, right? You got to have the frame of the house, and you have the sheathing on the outside of the house, this, that, and the other. And if you're someone that struggles to see, when a foundation is poured, how the house can come together, or even when the frame is on, how the house is going to look when it's done, then you probably will struggle to understand this concept. Anyway, so understanding degrees of trend, I see that this is, sure, this is 5 waves off the low. So I'm not shorting. It's not, this is not an ideal trade. This is not one that I would normally, like, if I'm coaching you up, tell you to take. Because we see a clear 5 off the low. So really, with the 5 off the low, even though it's gotten this deep, so it's adequate depth. Remember we were talking yesterday in that trade video on the how we're gonna like set up that long that I was talking about. This would be the perfect scenario, like I was telling you in that video yesterday, to see three off the high, and I personally probably will. 3 off the high, and then long out of it, right? So this would be potentially a perfect setup, except our one problem is we do have the fact that this is a 5-wave move, right? And it's not a flat C. Like, there's very little chance that, well, it could be, though, right? So you always got to look out for the sneaky flats. C, right? So maybe this was, A, B, C. Huge expanding flat. Yeah, it's a potential, right? I don't think so, but it's a potential. So that's one thing you'd have to be careful about. And that's why one of the big things I said was that the 5-wave move would be an inadequate retracement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we're going that this is the 2, this is the 4, and this 5. So you wouldn't want to really, at least substantially, really at all, because this thing channels weird because of it's not a standard impulse with a expanded wave 3. I love that I can translate yesterday's video lesson into today's price analysis. I love that. Anyway, so I really hope you guys are rocking with these. You hit that like button. I want 50. I mean, the one yesterday got 50 with like, dude, you guys, the ones, this is a small channel. I just want a mini shout out to all you dudes that rock with this, with me and with this channel. Is like, you guys, we're small, but you guys are like the shit. I just want to say that. Like, I was looking yesterday, it was like 128 views, 50 likes. That's a crazy ratio. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you. Okay. Anyway, so it's not an inadequate move. Clearly, it's not inadequate, and then there's a sneaky possibility. So it doesn't quite meet that ideal little scenario for that trade that I told you yesterday. Watch the video if you haven't. Elliottwave in 10 minutes to change your life, or whatever the hell it was. It's not exactly going to be that long trade here. Now, we're being a little more fancy with the short idea. So if we're going to talk about it, I didn't expect to talk about this. So, one thing to take into account, like, we're out here talking about all these different degrees of trend and all these different, this is doing that, this is doing this. And when I see this trade has nothing. I'm not really considering most of these things. I'm not even at this degree when I'm taking this trade, right? It's really at the trading degree that I'm concerned with. I am thinking about the fact that it's a 5-wave move. And so it's, it's not going to be a completed corrective. But anyway, I mean, the fact that you're shorting the top of an impulse, basically I'm saying that I potentially see the end of a pattern, an impulse pattern. These in general, not my favorite kind of plays. And where did I short it? I'll show you right where I shorted it. Actually, I'm literally about at my entry. I shorted here. Exit of the final channel. It was testing the side of the final channel to go back in, and I said, looks like it's going to fail. And of course, if I had seen that before I went to sleep, which I didn't, I would have been super happy. But right now, it's about where I entered. And really, based on the size, I'd be happy with getting back to here. It wouldn't be what I would say a full W. But it would be one that I could definitely pocket a couple $100, call it a day. Anyway, we'll see. We're going to have to keep an eye on this. So that's the short. Basically, because if this is a finished 5-wave, then, we should retrace it. Whatever it may be. The 4 is here, short 5. So don't want to give it too much run, but that's that. Okay, so back onto where we're expected price analysis. So while I do believe with that 5-wave move that we do have a 3C trade coming up, you know, for that beginner's video. That video yesterday was literally intended to, I know I spoke super fast, and I sort of like, people would have to watch that if you never, like, if you just barely knew technical analysis charts or whatever, and then watch that, you'd have to like rewatch it a bunch of times and probably figure out what some things that I said were. But you know, the 10-minute challenge thing, right? That, you know, self-imposed. But so for that trade, it's not perfect, but it's still a 3C trade. I meant for that trade to be very, very simple. But, and I, like I said in that video, there's so many things you can do to clean it up. And not every trade is perfect. But if we get something like this is a nice perfect C3 trade. Not perfect, I should say, but it'd be a great C3 trade. I don't even know if it'd get this low. Yeah, we'd target the 50 for entry. And then, of course, if you go 1-to-1, so we're not just looking for that potential trade. We're looking, see, that doesn't come up here and violate. It could still be a 2 up here. So this is going to be, basically this next wave is going to be huge. And really, I would like it to see it more like not a 1-to-1, more like the next most probable relationship 618, right between the 50 618. Yeah, that's what I'd like to see, because if we come back out here again, what's this doing over here? Is that because we're in log? No. This is literally locked in the wrong position. That could be devastating. This is important to, like, I always try to set these in and lock them, because if you have it like I just had that, what the fuck? See, you know what? The phone causes this shit. Okay. See how much that matters? It's like, it looked like it was in play, and it's totally not. All right, we're just going to go ahead and delete this thing. And this thing, get out of my face. I need to clean this chart up. All right, so this is actually not very useful either. Okay. Let's go ahead and throw some fib levels in here. 50 not a fib level, but nah. All right, sorry. Trying to get some important things on the chart here for you guys. Oh, come on. Okay. All right. So we'd really want to see sort of a, you know, the algo -236 161 618 extension as opposed to 1-to-1 extension off of this leg. This is a very strong, sharp A potential. Now, if this thing comes up here and to the wave, the typical area of a wave 3, 1618, it would definitely violate the idea that this is a 1 down. Okay, so at that point, the question is, do we think the bottom's in? And I'll be honest, I mean, that's definitely a 5 wave. So this could be three. I don't even know what to think other than it would be a significant bottom. I don't want to go out on the limb to say totally bottom in. Again, I don't think this is going to happen. The primary expectation is this, but it's like I'm always trying to tell you guys what to look for to be if we're going to be wrong here. And if this hits the wave, basically, if this hits a wave 3, probable expectation, we're going to assume that not only does that mean that we're in an impulse, so we're going to come down for 4th, up for 5th. That means we're going to come down like And this is a 5-wave down, so contextually, this isn't going to be like a 3-3-5, unless you're going to try to call this a zigzag, which, of course, there's always a case for that sort of thing. But at that point, to me, primary expectation is that even if this is another zigzag in play, it's just that we're going to basically sustain a rally at bare minimum. This is your bare minimum expectation if this white arrow happens. Right? So we don't have to look at this macro degree and be correct all the time. Although, typically those macro counts go about, I don't really change expectation very often. Let's put it that way. Usually we're pretty good at that. But you don't need to be, especially when you get to these edges of those macro counts is when they start to get iffy and go back and forth. And you're like, okay, maybe it's not that. And then you change it just like I did. And then, oh, no, I should have stuck with it the whole time. That happened, that's invariably going to happen. But, that has none of that has any bearing on your trading ability to trade this theory. And, I remember seeing people on Twitter say, what's worse for, I saw someone on Twitter say, what was worse for crypto, Elliottwave or BitShare, not BitShares, damn, that that pyramid scheme that all the influencers were on, Carlos Mata. Damn. I always do this every video. Anyway, and I see that and I cringe. It's because people in this field, because there's a lot of smart people in crypto, but they're so stupid, right? I like to call it confident for no reason. They don't know the fuck they're talking about. Compare it to that shit. Anyway, you don't need to be confident at this degree to be able to trade it. Depends on your trading degree. If this is your trading degree, then right now you are you're a little iffy. Although I'm trading at that degree, right? If we're talking macro degree, where's the last time I bought macro? I bought here, even with the expectation of another leg down. I don't need to pick, on a macro, pick the pivot. I bought here. 100% bought here. Yeah, no, maybe it wasn't the wick of the wick. Maybe it was here. Whatever. I added macro here. We come down, I'm gonna add more here. But if you look out, if my degree of concern is this, and I'm adding in this area to get this, it doesn't need to be perfect. You need to size appropriately for that, right? I'm taking this in spot. It's not in leverage. It's not more money than I can afford to lose. It's just another position. You have to understand how to trade. Stick with me. We can get you there. You can trade this at any degree, any time frame. If you want your trades to last within the day, within the week, within the month, you can do all of that. So, I'm not going to make any declarations on. The primary expectation is that this was a 1, and we're in a 2. We're in a 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish 5th down here in this area where this C is. Right. That's the primary expectation. We'd be wrong if something like this played out, and if this does play out, this is the minimum expectation. For me, there doesn't mean it would have to be, right? You could finish up with a C here. None of this happens. But to me, this is the minimum probable expectation. Could be the very bottom. Now, I don't know how we'd have to figure that out. How would that be the case? I don't see it here. Again, that's why I'm still sticking with the primary expectation that this is a, impulse down, the 2 up, and really anything else outside of that this 1 down count and this orange, whatever this may be, anything that has to do with this would have to basically accept this as a zigzag. And sometimes in retrospect you have to do that. Things that look exactly like they look like an impulse, sometimes you have to say they weren't, right? And what would we do here? You can easily make the case, but I keep it simple, stupid, right? But you can easily make a case that this is a 3-wave move, right? Because that is a 3-wave move, looking, and then, of course, so X, and then a 3-wave move, right? So it's always a potential, and we talked about some other scenarios, but we like to stick with what we find to be the most probable expectations. So this one's getting a little long. I think that, again, all of this is kind of getting esoteric on the outside. We're outside of the degree of concern at the moment. Right now, Uncle Toot's short. There is a 3C trade. If this zigzag plays out nicely, sort of in the vein of what I showed yesterday, but not quite as good and not quite as easy for the beginners, right? But sort of like the trade that I showed yesterday coming up, that, you know, should this retrace in the short like I expect and show me a perfect zigzag? Yeah, I'm taking this next long, right? So we got 2 trades, and if you see this, you can probably trade it as well. Like I said, the short's not great, but you know, it was at a spot where pretty much my risk is nothing for large gain, right? And I was talking about how there's things that we can clean up for. Remember yesterday, and get those really high R to R's, and a lot of people will like advertise that they get those, but they're, you know, because no offense to the members over the years, I've been teaching this for 5 years, but I see people show like this. Look at this trade I'm taking. It's like, no, don't do that. You have a 0% probability. But this one I've got a solid probability, and my RR is something like that. It's probably over 30. So that's where we're at. All right, 50 likes on this video, and we will upload for this market outlook for the week. All right, guys, toot out.